This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles podcast. My name is Daniel Spikowski. I'm the founder and host of Special Chronicles, service ambassador at United Airlines, former Southern Tribal Global Messenger of Special Olympics. Our website, specialchronicles.com. To follow Special Chronicles on socials and wherever you get your podcasts. This week on the Special Chronicles podcast and our Unified at Work series, excited to welcome Paul White, CEO of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower, to join us to give us a better understanding of what the Sunflower Initiative is. It's important for people with hidden disabilities. So please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Paul on the Special Chronicles podcast. Welcome, Paul.
It's quite an introduction, Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Delighted to be able to speak with you today and to hopefully bring some awareness to the sunflower and people with hidden disabilities across your channel. So thank you very much for inviting me today.
Yeah, it's exciting to get connected with you. One of my colleagues at United Airlines, I think had got us connected, and I first found out about the sunflower, which I've got mine with me here in the studio. When United Airlines had started to do some work in some education and awareness, and then I think over the past couple of years, more airports in the U.S. Have been incorporated in the sunflower. So over the past couple of years, that's kind of how I got introduced to what the sunflower. I've had some friends in the UK and in New Zealand who have used the sunflower when they have been traveling. So for our listeners, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us your connection to our disability community?
So as I say, I'm Paul. I'm the CEO of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower, and my connection really with the disabled community is really through my children. Both of my children have got some forms of hidden disabilities, and really through their eyes, I've kind of seen that the barriers that society have kind of placed, and really the adjustments that we've had to make as a family, to be able to allow them to navigate the world around them with their conditions. So that's kind of really been my eye opener. My father had Parkinson's, so again that was a real impact to us on the family when I saw how Dad progressed with his condition and how he had to again overcome the traits of his condition to be able to continue to live his life in the way that he wanted to. So yeah, that's my connection really with our community.
Awesome. And now as we get into the sunflower, can you explain to us, because I'm sure some of our listeners might have even seen this or seen people wear it when they're traveling, or but there might be some listeners who might be totally new to what the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower is. Can you explain what this is and how it got started?
So the sunflower was created in 2016 at Gatwick Airport, and Gatwick Airport could see that whilst they could see people with visible disabilities coming through their airport, they wanted to be able to support all of their passengers with non-visible disabilities, and they came to me and my team and asked us that question, as in, how can we support people with non-visible disabilities? And we came up with using a sunflower on a green background, so a simple sunflower on a green background, for people to be able to self-identify they had a hidden disability, but in a discreet and subtle manner, that they wasn't going out and disclosing personal information about themselves. They were just at an indicator that there was something going on that you couldn't see. And it was instantly successful. It was instantly a success, both with the passengers and the employees being able to provide that extra level of time, care and patience that the sunflower brought. And naturally, you only go to the airport for one reason, right? So other airports and other locations began to see the sunflower, and those organisations also wanted to be involved. They saw the value of being able to, and it really just grew organically from there. So it really was just from this really simple idea of being allowing people to be able to self-demonstrate they have a condition. It's really just blossomed all over the world, really. And now the sunflower, we've got organisations in 80 countries across the globe. There's over 40,000 businesses now that recognise and support the sunflower. And in the aviation setting, which I know obviously you're part of, Daniel,
Yep.
There's over 300 airports now that support the sunflower, and there's 20 airlines that are also sunflower-friendly airlines. So it really was just how it just shows how just a simple idea can have such a real impact on communities when these communities see the value of it.
Awesome. I love that. And you kind of building upon your introduction. I don't know if either your father or your children maybe were part of the inspiration, or maybe there was another inspiration, but you talk a little bit more about the inspiration to the creation of the sunflower, and how has it evolved over time from 2016 till now. It's the beginning of 2025 now. So from 2016 to now, kind of how has it evolved, and what inspired this evolution?
So how it really started with me, and how my position in the organisation started was I was working for an organisation or a business that had the merchandise contract for Gatwick, and that's the reason they came to me to ask for our advice and for us to create for the creation of the symbol. And the truth of the matter is when I first became involved in the sunflower, Daniel, it really was just a commercial decision. I just thought that there was companies that were going to use it, and we as an organisation, we were selling lanyards to these businesses, and I thought I was going to sell millions and millions of lanyards, and I was going to go and live on Necker Island, as a neighbour of Richard Branson. And then what happened was people began to get in touch with me to tell me how the sunflower changed their lives, how something that I had been involved in the creation of had enabled people to go out and do different things and to have different experiences, because they now had the confidence to go and do those, that should a situation occur that was occurring because of their condition, they could be confident that the organisation they was visiting recognised that not disabilities were visible. They were confident that they could support that person, and that really allowed that person to go out and have new and different experiences. And one always sticks with me. One story I heard is a gentleman emailed me not long after we created the sunflower, and we had the bus company that had his local bus company had joined the sunflower program, or advertised that they were supporting sunflower wearers on that bus, and he used to play walking football with his mates, or walking soccer in your using your language, Daniel. They'd play walking football with their mates at the local sports centre. And because the bus company recognised the sunflower, and he had dementia.
Yep.
And because the bus company recognised the sunflower, he was then able to get the bus on his own. instead, and his wife used to drive him everywhere, but he could get the bus on his own. And he wrote to me and told me that I'd given him his life back, because it's the first time since he was diagnosed that he was confident to go out and do something independently, and it had given him his independence. And that really affected me as a person. And I thought, you know what, this has got more than us just selling a load of merchandise. This has got something that can really do something for good, for the community, for people such as this gentleman that messaged me, and then also obviously for my own family and my own family members. So I really just did a complete 180 on the way that the sunflower was being delivered. I surrounded myself with people who had experience in providing support and creating programs around disability. And we created the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program. And it really has one simple goal, and that's just to improve everyday experiences for people with non-visible disabilities. And everything we do, we try and we try and make sure that we are one step closer towards that goal. And that involves us encouraging businesses to be more accessible and more inclusive, allowing these businesses the opportunity to support their customers when they're visiting these locations, giving training to these businesses as to what hidden disabilities are, how to support a person who's wearing the sunflower, and really just raising the bar in regards to acceptance across the communities. And as I said earlier, we've now got a presence in over 80 countries across the globe, and the sunflower really is becoming the go-to symbol for people with non-visible disabilities. So it's been one hell of a ride. It's kind of what I can really phrase it, but we're nowhere near the end of that journey.
Yeah, I'm sure just the beginning of what you'll be able to accomplish in the future. Building upon what you said about how it's been able to help people in everyday settings, can you share a little bit more about how the sunflower symbol has helped to raise awareness of hidden disabilities, whether it's somebody traveling through an airport or getting or traveling on the local bus, like you shared with that story? And so how has it helped to raise awareness for those with disabilities?
The international symbol for disabilities is a wheelchair user, but only 7% of disabled people are wheelchair users. And a person walks out of a disabled toilet, and questions are sometimes asked because the impression is from certain members of the public is that person should have some kind of physical disability, some kind of visual disability. And of course, that isn't the case, because 93% of disabled people's disabilities are not visible. So there really is a need in society for a symbol that isn't represented by a person using a wheelchair, and that symbol has created so much confusion across all parts of the globe because of the reasons that I've just alluded to. So we wanted to create something that was completely different. We wanted to create a symbol that demonstrated happiness and positivity and strength and growth and confidence and all of these things. And so much about disability for me was about what you couldn't do. You can't do this because you can't go there. And the sunflower is all about what you can do. The sunflower was created to allow organisations to demonstrate that they are accessible and inclusive, and to give sunflower wearers the confidence to be able to use those. Whether they wear the sunflower or not, at least they can see that organisation has an awareness that not all disabilities are visible, and they can be confident that they will be treated in a respectful and manner, and they will be potentially the whole process could be slowed down, or whatever adjustments are needed to allow that person to be able to use their locations. So what we do with the sunflower is we encourage businesses to join the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program, and we then give those organisations the training as to the meaning of the sunflower. And that really is as simple as, if you see somebody wearing the sunflower, recognise they have a non-visible disability. You don't need to know what that condition is, and just give that person some extra time, some extra patience, and some extra kindness. And that's really the whole meaning of what the sunflower is. And it just gives that organisation the ability to do that. So whether that business is an airport, or it's a bus company, or it's a supermarket, or it's a sports venue, that mantra is exactly the same. It really is just about being able to give that person visibility should they want to be able to disclose they have a condition, and to allow that person, that organisation, the ability to offer that extra level. So it really is around just confidence and improving experiences for people with hidden disabilities wherever they decide to go.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll get into some a couple more stories related to your personal experiences and the impact that the Hidden Disability Sunflower has had on those with hidden disabilities. After this short break, to let you all know that support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. You can join our supporters with monthly or one-time donation so we can operate our studio, keep the lights on, continue giving respect and voice to those of us with disabilities. You can visit specialchronicles.com/give to support this podcast and access all behind-the-scenes bonus content at specialchronicles.com/plus. You can join now and help to support this podcast so we can continue more interviews and conversations like we're having with Paul today. So building, you mentioned in the first segment about a story of a gentleman with the of using the sunflower in the bus company of it. Is there another story or another personal story or experience of people who have benefited from the sunflower, whether it's like in my case with the airline industry, or is there another a personal story of someone that has reached out to you about how they benefited?
Well, I always, I've always looked through the sunflower through the eyes of one of my daughters, Maddie, who's autistic, and Maddie was one of the first users of the sunflower when we created it, and it was being part of that and seeing how Maddie was supported. And before the sunflower, Daniel, when we used to travel, Maddie would get very, very anxious around security. If people were sort of going through a bag, as being separated from us to go through the X-ray machine, that was all really, really stressful for her, and it would trigger her in regards to her autism, and it would have been such a simple way to be able to control that. It was as a family, we were just looking for a little bit of empathy. All we wanted was a little bit of sympathy and a little bit of empathy to allow us to be able to continue with our journey. And there were times as a family where we were getting to the point where we think, is it really worth traveling? Because the whole process of it was. Didn't seem to. It was so rushed and it was so stressful and everything seemed to be so busy, and they just didn't seem to be able to accommodate us as a family. And when we introduced the sunflower, it just gave Maddie a voice. It gave Maddie a voice without having to physically say something. It gave us as a family the ability that we didn't have to continue to justify why we were using the disabled lane, or why we were unable to board the plane first. And all of these little things were really small accommodations that we as a family really benefited from, because it allowed us to continue our journey and to experience everything else without that tutting and without that judgment and without everything that was there. And that was really important to us, because no one wants to be judged, right? So through the sunflower, I saw how that improved that whole process. I could stand behind it and physically see people in front of her think, well, we could do something different here, and slow it down and explain to Mads what they were doing. I'm going to look through your bag. This is the reason I'm going to do it. And all of that made the whole process so much more simpler, because instead of just being rushed through and then her anxiety becoming heightened, which would trigger her autism, and then she would then she wouldn't become non-verbal, but it would just become really difficult for her, the whole process. It just made the whole process really seamless. So it really was kind of through Maddie that I kind of saw really some of the benefits of how the sunflower worked. And then, of course, that because of the way that the sunflower was created in this holistic way, in the way that it's there for all disabilities, it's there for all conditions. We don't ask for proof of a person's disability when people provide the sunflower, Daniel. And the reason that is because the number of people who aren't diagnosed, whether a diagnosis isn't available, so something like anxiety is an example, or they haven't received a diagnosis, so they're waiting for that diagnosis. And again, Maddie's a prime example. She was only diagnosed with autism when she was 20 or 19, maybe 19, 20. She was clearly autistic all the way through. But up until then, she was anxious, she was depressed, all these different elements, when it was just her autism. So we won't ask for proof. We don't ask for proof of a person's condition, and we ensure that people provide the lanyards for free and not ask for proof to allow people to get those. And we ask that to slow that process down. So there are hundreds and thousands of stories that everybody has, but it really kind of falls within the same pattern, that it managed to give that person a voice. It gave that person the ability to demonstrate their condition without continually having to justify their existence and their place in this in wherever they were. And it gave the organisation what they wanted to do too, which was to offer that extra level of service to people that really needed it the most.
Awesome. And you mentioned that people have used the sunflower in public spaces. How has the adoption of the sunflower symbol, which I like that, how simple it is, that it doesn't draw attention to you, but it's something that's small. It's something that's simple. So how has the adoption of the sunflower symbol impacted individuals with hidden disabilities in public spaces?
Well, I really feel that that the sunflower gives the sunflower wearers, people with non-visible disabilities, confidence. It was there to create, to give that person the confidence to be able to go out and experience everything that the world has to offer, and that we all rightly should be able to see. And there was so many people that wouldn't do that because they were frightened, maybe that might be the right word, of the reaction they would receive, that they wouldn't be able to navigate through that location. So it really was created as to remove that confidence barrier, to improve the experiences for people with non-visible disabilities and enable them to go out and do things that they may not have done before. And so many people say that when they put the lanyard over there, putting the lanyard on, it's like their sort of confidence blanket. It gives them that sort of peace of mind that they think, you know what, I can access this location, I can get through here. And if something does happen because of my condition, whether I need somewhere safe to sit, or I might just need somewhere quiet, or I might need urgent access to the toilet, people will always help me and people will assist me, and they won't judge me and they won't question me the reasons why. So that's really kind of why we created the sunflower. Really was around confidence and just to improve the experiences. But the sunflower has gone further than that. It's really helped to demonstrate the impact for organisations of fostering just understanding and empathy and for support for people with hidden disabilities. We really hope, and I really hope, that the influence of the sunflower as a symbol across the globe is helping to paint a future where all individuals, regardless of what your ability are or what your disability is or whatever it is, but we're all embraced and we're supported whilst navigating the world around you. And that's really one of the hopes for the sunflower, that it is helping to paint that picture and help to create that environment.
Awesome. I love what you said about how it's helped to give those wearing the sunflower lanyard confidence to travel, or confidence to be in public spaces, and to know that they can travel on a plane, that they can travel on a bus, that they can go into grocery store. And as you know from your experience with your daughter, from hearing stories of people with hidden disabilities wearing the stuff, all that, there's a lot of common misconceptions that those of us with hidden disabilities have. So what are some of the common misconceptions that the Sunflower helps to address and helps to overcome those misconceptions?
Well, by far the main common misconception in my view is if you cannot see it, it doesn't exist. So many times I hear people telling that story that you cannot see it, it doesn't exist. That you're making it up or you're exaggerating what your condition is, and it is all around that visual representation. We 1 in 5. I mean, certainly in the UK, and I know this is global, but in the UK, 1 in 5 people have some form of disability, and 80% of those people's disabilities are not visible. So in the UK, that's 12 million people just in the UK alone. Globally, the figure is 1 in 7 people have some form of disability, and again, 80% of those disabilities are not visible. So globally, it's over a billion people. So the disabled community is a huge part of the global community. It's not a minority; it's a majority. It's not a minority at all. But because you can't see it, people don't think it exists, and that really is just the main misconception that I continue to hear. And how does the Sunflower address it? Well, exactly as the way we've shown. It gives the person a voice. It gives that person the ability to demonstrate, but in a discreet and subtle manner, that they have a disability. And it's worth remembering with the Sunflower that just because you wear a Sunflower lanyard, it doesn't mean you have to wear it all the time. It doesn't mean it has to be on the minute you leave your house. It has to go on. It can be in your bag. It can be in your pocket. And when you're in an environment that you start to feel anxious, that may be difficult for you to access because of your needs or because of your condition, you get the Sunflower out of your bag or out your pocket, you put it over your neck, and then you've got the ability again to demonstrate that you are a person with a non-visible disability and you may need a little bit of support. Whether, even if, as I say, and that support doesn't have to be, the company doesn't have to be moved 3 foot to the left. It really can be as simple as giving you a little bit of time, a little bit of space. So it really is around. We continue to. We've created something that is, we think is simple. We think is very, very straightforward, and I really think that has been the success of the Sunflower program. That it doesn't have to be complicated. We can make these things as simple. We can allow these businesses and these organisations the ability to use the Sunflower and in a way be creative about how they use it. We don't say an organisation has to use it in every single way. We have do's and don'ts in what I've explained. Like, you can't ask for proof of a person's disability. You can't charge for the lanyard from a business. But we allow organisations to be creative how they can use the Sunflower because they know their business. They know what they're doing. And that can only improve the experiences for disabled people when visiting those locations.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take another short break. We come back and we'll get into a little bit more of how it's been implemented and raising awareness after this short break, to let you know that support for Special Chronicles comes from the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador program. The countries here in the U.S., the Force Energy and Solar Efficiency Education Program, designed for and taught by people with disabilities. You can learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And as we get into a little bit more about how it's been implemented, can you share with our listeners how individuals with hidden disabilities access and use the Sunflower lanyard and other identifiers of that you have, that those kind of how have they used, because on the lanyard you can explain maybe not necessarily like what your not necessarily what your diagnosis is, but like what support that you need, and kind of how have individuals with hidden disabilities access and use it.
So to obtain yourself a piece of Sunflower merchandise, whether that's a lanyard or a pin badge or a wristband, all these different products that we can provide, there are two main ways that you can get those. First and foremost, you visit our website, which is hdsunflower.com, and we then have a map of all of the locations that recognise and support the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Programme, and the locations on that map will be able to, or most of the locations of that map will be able to give you a sunflower lanyard for free. So if you visit that location, they will give you a lanyard, no questions asked, and you'll be able to use it not only within that location, but also outside and anywhere that supports the sunflower. There's the second way that you can provide that is we also have a store on that actual on that site. So if you don't want to go to those locations, you can buy your sunflower lanyard through or your sunflower piece of merchandise through the store, and then we have all different levels pieces of merch, as I've said, from badges to wristbands to t-shirts to anything, but they're all designed with one thing in mind, and that's to demonstrate that the wearer has a hidden disability. Now, on top of that, we also provide personalised cards, which I think is what you're kind of mentioning there, Daniel. And the personalised cards, you can personalise those cards. So you hang that on the end of your lanyard, and you can have your photo on it. You can have contact details. And then we have a number of icons that demonstrate what your access needs are. And then we train the businesses as to what those access needs what they mean. So if you show your card and it's got a clock on it, it means you need a little bit more time. If it's got a house on it, you might need somewhere to sit, etc., etc. All these different we have all these different icons that you can use. And then on that card, you can put on the front of the card your health condition. So if you want to put on your card your specific on the front, so for instance, I'm visually impaired, you could put on the front, and that allows somebody to instantly see what your condition is. And when you're meeting somebody, whether that's somebody in a shop or whether that's someone in one of your mates or whatever it would be, they can see what that condition is, and they are then able to adjust or adjust their behaviour based on what your condition is, and make sure that they accommodate that. So those are the so as I say, just to recap, you can, if you want a sunflower lanyard, you can get one for free, and we encourage all of the businesses that support the sunflower to give them away for free. But you can buy it online through our store. So visit our site. There's tons of content on there anyway, which really shows what we do as an organisation, how we use the program globally to support people with hidden disabilities, and then you can obviously purchase your sunflower merch right there.
Awesome. So we'll for those watching the video, I put it up on the screen, and I'll make sure to include that in the description below, wherever you are listening to this podcast. We talked a little bit about some of the challenges earlier, but maybe we can go now a little bit more in depth on what are some of the challenges that people with hidden disabilities still face in society, and how has the Sunflower Initiative helped to mitigate these challenges?
For me, I think that the main element, the challenge that people with hidden disabilities face, is bias within society. It's the stigma and the judgment within people's with non-visible health conditions, because people can't see them, and that naturally will lead to misunderstanding and then invariably ignorance in regards to their condition. And it really is around educating communities as to disability is real. Disability is one of the stats that I always remember is only 17% of people are born with their disability. The other 83% of disabled people will acquire their disability at some stage in their lives, which demonstrates it could, whilst you could be completely without a disability one day, the next day the world can deal you a completely different hand. So it's in all of our interests to be a little bit more compassionate and a little bit more accepting, and for society to be understanding. So with the sunflower, we really have worked hard to use the sunflower as a tool to help remove that stigma and to remove that misunderstanding within society, is to use the sunflower as a tool, as a conversational piece, to allow people and businesses and to have that safe space to be able to talk about disability, but in a positive manner. And so much for me was that there was so much confusion around disability about what you could and you couldn't say. I don't want to upset that person. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So people just don't start saying anything. People don't do anything because they don't want to offend. And the reality is, you just got to get on with it and just start and just become it and just normalize, because this is a normal part of life, right? So the sunflower for me is really helping to remove that stigma. We are using the sunflower in a positive way with the businesses that support it, the way that we promote the sunflower through society, the way that we encourage people to wear the sunflower, just again to demonstrate that people of disabilities, whether they're visible or invisible, are obviously are here, and of course they are, and it's such a normal part of our lives. And I, for one, always get a kick from when I see someone wearing a hidden disability sunflower, because they are self-advocating for themselves. They are demonstrating they have a condition, and they are actively enabling others to be able to offer that level of support. So I really hope that and it goes so much further in regards to the challenges that people with disabilities will face, whether that's in employment, with workplace discrimination, or whether they in their own social situations, but all the way through, we're trying to use the sunflower to cut through that. We're trying to use the sunflower to create that safe space where people can talk about disability, but in a positive way.
Awesome. I love that. And those you've mentioned that people with disabilities have worn the sunflower in many different locations, many different industries. You mentioned the local bus company. We've mentioned airports, and I'm sure a lot of my colleagues at United Airlines will particularly maybe like to hear the airport side of, because that's the industry that we're in. So can you maybe talk kind of more from the airport location perspective of where the sunflower has had an impact, or I guess how has it had an impact in airports across the globe?
So there are over 300 airports now that are sunflower friendly airports. And these are anything from your largest airports, such as JFK, to some of your smaller local airports that also support the sunflower. And we ask airports to provide the sunflower really in the same way as whether that airport is the size of JFK or it's a much smaller place. It really is to advocate for the hidden disability sunflower, make it visible in all touch points of that airport, certainly around the places that are challenging for people. That's normally security, check-in when you're going onto the aircraft, so making those environments much more accessible, not using the sunflower as a symbol. So you're not visibly just looking at a wheelchair again, which is, as I've said, creates confusion, because people expect to see a person that's sitting in a wheelchair using the disabled lane, when of course that's not the case. There's people of all types of conditions that can obviously use that, and it's not based on that person's ability to walk. So by asking the airport to be able to provide the sunflower and to provide extra ways that the sunflower can be used within that environment, so that person has the confidence that as they go through that airport, they are going to be supported all the way through. And then the other part of it is we then encourage airlines to become sunflower friendly, because again, you only go to an airport for one reason, right? And that's to get on an airplane. So, and we did have a little bit of a gap, because we had the airports, but then the person got on the airline and then they wasn't supported. But I'm pleased to say now there's over 20 airlines now across the globe. And that's from the likes of United Airlines that have just launched to British Airways, to Air France, to EasyJet across the UK. There's all these different carriers now that are also sunflower friendly. And how they can use the sunflower is by, when that person gets onto the plane, if they booked as a if they booked on as a disabled passenger, of course they will be recognised. But so many people don't do that. So we certainly didn't as a family, because it just wouldn't be something that we would do. But when we were sitting down and when we were in our chair, it was very, very helpful for us as a family to go into that plane early, to get settled and be able to get that, ground ourselves and get Maddie settled. So it's all of these different, really small adjustments that the sunflower allows people to use. But again, you remove that stigma and you remove that judgment as to why is he or she able to go on the plane first when we're not. Well, it's because we have a person in our family who needs that extra level of support to enable us to be able to travel. So it's just given organisations, as I've said before, that ability to offer that empathy, to be empathetic and offer that level of kindness. And it's really this message that we continue to reinforce all the way through. And then back to that the original reason of the sunflower. The hope is as a disabled person who potentially is listening to this and thinks, I don't want to go on an aeroplane. I'm a bit worried about what could happen on the actual at the airport. I'm a bit worried about what happens the other side. You can map the end-to-end journey on the sunflower. You can see what airport recognises the sunflower. You can see what airline, and you can see where you're going recognises the sunflower. So you can be confident if you wear the sunflower all the way through that journey, you will be supported as a sunflower wearer in the way that we have created the sunflower program. And my hope is that gives people the confidence to go out and see the world.
Awesome. I love that, especially how it's been able to bring empathy to people. I want to take one final break. When we come back, we'll get into how Sunflower has raised one final segment about how you've been able to raise awareness, how you've been able to educate people about hidden disabilities, as well as looking ahead to the future and expanding the Sunflower. After this final break, to let you know that support for Special Chronicles also comes from United Airlines, Bridge Disability Business Resource Group, which is connecting people of all abilities. You can learn more on United's commitment to disability inclusion for employment and travel at specialchronicles.com/United and specialchronicles.com/United. And with that final segment here, how can businesses, service providers, and public institutions better support those of us with hidden disabilities through initiatives like the Sunflower? How can, whether it's an airline like United Airlines or your local bus company, or airports, how can they help to support those of us with hidden disabilities? Is there education that you guys offer about when they see somebody wearing a lanyard, or how can they best support?
So as I've explained, what the Sunflower really was created to enable people to self-identify and allow that organisation the ability to offer that person some extra time, some extra care, some extra patience, some extra understanding, and some extra kindness that they may need to go through. And that's really where it was how it was created. But one of the impacts that we didn't really it wasn't something it was something that the kind of Sunflower has evolved to, I kind of guess is what I'm trying to say, is how the sunflower can be used to create it could be used to support your colleagues within an organization. How businesses are not just using the sunflower just to support their customers, they're using it in a way that they can support their colleagues, where disability can be discussed through that organization, where everybody in that business has a voice regardless of who they are and their position. And the sunflower with organisations has really helped to create an environment where people can feel comfortable and confident to disclose that they have a hidden disability within the workplace, without that fear of stigma, or without that fear that future job prospects may be withheld or go away because they've demonstrated or they've disclosed they have a condition. And then once somebody discloses they have a hidden disability, it's then on that business to be able to make those workplace adjustments that should and could be made to not only make that person's day better, you then get the best out of that person. You get such a higher engagement from your employees because you feel valued. You feel much more part of the workforce. You're seen and you feel completely valued and not cast aside because you disclose you have a hidden disability. So businesses now are really using the sunflower now to help create that environment, Daniel. They're using it to really just to create an environment internally that it isn't just there for our customers, it's there for all of us. So when somebody goes into a shop, if the cashier or the sales assistant is wearing the sunflower, well, you can give that person that extra time, that extra care, that extra patience that they need to be able to serve you, which is entirely right. Businesses within organisations can then be able to discuss disability through their workforce, and this is only going to help to raise awareness about hidden disabilities, and can help and then will further the education for these organisations. So we really are working in two different strands. We're working in the way that's saying, look, support your disabled customers. If you support your disabled customers, they will come and use your services, and they will spend their hard-earned buck whilst visiting your location. And on the flip side, if you engage with your employees, if you create an environment where people can disclose they have hidden disabilities, where talking about disability isn't avoided, well, that is going to improve every element of your business, because you are going to become much more accessible. And the reality is businesses that I speak to are employing more disabled people than they think they are. It's just that person's disability isn't visible and they've chosen not to disclose. So organisations are really want to be inclusive, and they want a way to start. So again, the sunflower really is a way. So we really come at it in two ways. We come at it exactly that. We come at it in business. Join the sunflower. Support your customers. These customers will recognise that you are inclusive, and they will use your facilities, and then use the sunflower to help to create an environment that allows your employees the space to talk about disability, but in an open, frank, and positive way.
Awesome. I love that. And as you mentioned earlier about how you just getting started, the hidden disability sunflower started in 2016, and that you're just getting started. So in your opinion, what more can be done to improve awareness and understanding of hidden disabilities?
Representation is key. Representation is absolutely key here. I firmly believe that businesses have a responsibility to support their communities around them. And part of that responsibility is inclusion, is to ensure that those businesses are inclusive and to ensure those businesses are accessible. And that's inclusion in their workforce, that's inclusion in their representation, and that really has to come through their communications, is how they communicate about their organisation, and by encouraging these communities, encouraging the communities around them to bring your authentic self when accessing their services. Don't mask who you are. Bring your authentic self, and you will be supported for bringing your authentic self. And that can only enable us all to understand and support and understand inclusion, and to support the communities around us. So again, we do a huge amount of the sunflower around representation, and one of the one of the most recent initiatives that we've and collaborations we've just worked on, which is really cool, is we've got a collaboration with Lego. So Lego have introduced the first sunflower wearers within their Lego sets. So there's various Lego sets, and one of them is around an airport, and there's and one of the characters within the airport is wearing a sunflower lanyard. And again, that's demonstrating representation. And there's and you can also go to the Lego stores, and you can buy Lego minifigures. And I'm going to show you one here, as in people who are watching on the video. There is the official Hidden Disabilities sunflower Lego person. So it's a little person, and he's got on his chest, he has got a sunflower on his chest on a t-shirt, and over the top of that he's wearing a sunflower lanyard. And that's representation. That is actively a business that's representing hidden disabilities. And our hope with the collaboration with Lego is someone will buy that toy, they'll see that person wearing a sunflower lanyard, and they'll say to their parents or their friends, wonder what that is. And then they'll look into it, and then they'll begin to see that the reasoning behind the hidden disability sunflower. And that can only really improve inclusion for all of us. So that's really what we do. We really encourage businesses to use the sunflower as symbols in their communications. Whatever they do, use that sunflower symbol, because that encourages others to really to be open and to demonstrate hidden disabilities across society.
Awesome. I love that. And just like representation is important, education, and I'm sure the sunflower is doing just a little bit in educating people about what accommodations, what support those of us with hidden disabilities need. So what role does education play in promoting inclusivity for those of us with hidden disabilities, and how has the sunflower contributed to providing that education?
We are challenging stereotypes. That's what we do as an organisation. We are hoping that by using the sunflower symbol, we're normalising disability in society, which really is there and then that can only help to remove the stigma that is attached towards disability in society. I mean, we really need as a society, we've got to equip our future leaders to prioritise disability in policy making, in business development, and in social environments. And as a community, and wherever that we are in the world, we've got to paint a picture where all members of the community are seen and valued, regardless of who they are and the value that person can bring. So the sunflower was created as a very, very simple symbol to enable a person to walk through Gatwick Airport and be able to support it whilst getting on their plane. And it's really evolved into a symbol that allows, that we really use to encourage people to really challenge these stereotypes that people with disabilities continue to face. And how we go about doing that is by using the sunflower as a positive symbol, demonstrating to businesses the value of supporting their disabled customers and colleagues, and hoping to raise the bar of awareness across society.
Awesome. I love that. And in this final segment, as we look ahead to the future, are there any upcoming developments or expansions for the sunflower that you're excited about?
I'm very excited to bring this. This is actually a world first. This is for you, Daniel. So this is a world first. So I'm showing on for people that are watching. I'm showing one of our ID cards here. So it's basically a credit card size that says I have a hidden disability. And on this card, which is a standard card, you can put your details on there. So this is Annette, who's one of my colleagues within the Sunflower, and she's put on there some of her contact details and some symbols. But this card is what they call an NFC card. So you can tap this card on your phone, and I'm showing my phone here. And on your phone, so as I tap that, on your phone, you can bring up, bear with me, is it logged in? You can bring up on your phone all the details of this person's condition. So it tells you that Annette here has got dysautonomia, she stutters, and she's got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And you can click onto those, and then you can find more information on those conditions. So when a person is, and it's also got the symbols that we also have. So when a person is navigating their way through an environment, if they they don't want to continue to tell people what they need or justify themselves, or maybe they could be non-verbal and they couldn't see it, right? They couldn't say it. They can use their card. They can tap it on their phone and show their phone, or they can tap it on somebody else's phone or their device, and then that will bring up all the information that person needs to be able to actively navigate through their location. So this is brand new. It's going to be launched there's a conference in the UK called NAIDEX, which is a conference that promotes and supports disabled people. And we will be launching, we call this Sunflower Extra because it adds a little bit of extra. And we will be launching Sunflower Extra at NAIDEX. And then we will be encouraging them, we will be promoting it to businesses, how to use it. And then we'll be hoping the Sunflower community will be able to use this card to be able to better access an organisation's facilities. So that's it. That's brand new.
Awesome. So are you launching that in the middle of 2025, or is there a particular?
So we're launching it in the UK in March. So that's when it gets launched in the UK, Daniel. We are piloting. I don't know exactly how long, but our plan is to somewhere through the year is to bring this to other parts of the world. So certainly the US will come very soon after. But we're piloting it in the UK, and then we will then use it further afield and further across the globe.
Awesome. Well, our listeners, looking forward to seeing how that launch goes for you in the UK, and seeing how those with hidden disabilities, like once they start using that tap card, like how they are able to benefit from it. And I'm sure that you'll be keeping track of the stories of how people are
absolutely. Yeah, we're piloting it. I can't say who we're piloting it with because it's we've been told to keep that confidential. But there's a large organisation that we're piloting the program with currently that are testing it through their location. We will use the learnings from that to be able to demonstrate to other organisations as to the value, and then we will have an army, I hope, of sunflower wearers out there with their Sunflower Extra cards, which they'll be able to use in different locations, and then we'll learn from it. We'll learn from what works, what doesn't work, how it can be, and we'll continue to evolve in regards to this technology. But we're really excited in regards to we haven't really used that much tech with the Sunflower because it's an analog tool. And that's really been the really part of the success, that it's just been a really simple tool. But naturally we have to evolve what we're doing, and tech obviously is the best way to evolve this. So yeah, watch this space.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely be watching space to see how that goes. How can people with hidden disabilities help to support the Sunflower initiative and ensure a more inclusive environment for everyone? Is it like you mentioned earlier, they can go and to your website and get one for themselves, or what else? How can people? How can people without hidden disabilities help to support the Sunflower? So, like when they see people wearing. When they see people with hidden disabilities wearing it, how can people without hidden disabilities, like their families, and how can they help to support the Sunflower?
So we have what we call a rule of six. But I hope I can remember all six now. But we have what they cast as a rule of six. So if you see somebody wearing the Sunflower, you offer that person some extra time, some extra patience, some extra kindness, some extra understanding. You don't judge, and you don't judge them. That might be 5, I might miss one out. So, but you basically offer that person time, care, patience, understanding, kindness. Don't ask them what their hidden disabilities are. If that person wants to tell you, then great. You can adjust the way that you approach that person accordingly. But it really isn't overly relevant. It's just there to demonstrate. So we ask people to be aware of the hidden disability sunflower. Is to keep abreast of what we are doing. Recognise what the meaning of the sunflower is to the wearer, and just to offer that person. And you'll be amazed. The stories we hear of, just if somebody sees someone wearing the sunflower and just that simple kind word or that simple smile, what a difference that makes to that person's day. You'll be amazed what a difference that really makes. So we really are hoping that people wear the sunflower, because by wearing it, we really help. In our view, we're helping to normalise hidden disabilities, and we're contributing to a more inclusive society, and we help other people see it, and they offer that person that level of kindness that they need to be able to get through their day.
Awesome. I'm sure many with hidden disabilities have heard and talked to their friends who have worn it and have seen the benefits. But what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about wearing the sunflower lanyard, but might be either unsure or might be worried about how others will receive it?
Wearing the sunflower lanyard is an act of self-advocacy. It's not weakness, in my view. It's a way to ensure that your needs are met without having to explain yourself repeatedly. That's what it means. People have every single right to prioritise their own well-being and their own comfort, just as others do. And wearing the sunflower allows you to do that. Now, not every single person with a hidden disability, of course, will need to wear the sunflower or will want to wear the sunflower. But for those that do, others have the opportunity to give that person that extra time, that extra patience, that extra kindness that they may need to be able to go through their day. And as I've said earlier, I really think by wearing it, you are helping to normalise hidden disabilities, and you are contributing to a more inclusive society.
Awesome. I love that. We got two final questions, and it's the past hour has just flown by. I'm sure our listeners have really learned a lot about how the hidden disability sunflower got started and how it's been able to benefit our disability community, in particular the hidden disability community. So do you have any final thoughts on your overall time here on the Special Chronicles podcast that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Not that comes to mind. I think we've actively covered most parts of the sunflower. It really is about. I really would encourage others to visit our site. Really, if you have an interest in disability and an interest in the sunflower, there's so much content on our site. I mean, one of the really valuable elements of content we have is such as yourself, Daniel. We run a podcast where we talk to people about their conditions, the barriers that they may face within society, and for me personally, it's given me such a huge awareness of the different types of conditions, the huge number of conditions that people are living with each and every day, and that can only help me as a person be able to support people with hidden disabilities and have a better awareness. So really is just to encourage people to visit our site, as you very kindly have put on our screen here, and really just to get involved with the sunflower as much as you can.
Awesome. So once again, for those of you just listening to us on audio, hdsunflower.com, and we'll make sure to put that in the description below. And I got one final question, so let's go ahead and roll that bumpo.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
Who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our
Shared humanity. We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever.
and coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
So ever since I attended the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi, I've been asking one final question that we don't just want our listeners to consume this content, but to take action and to bring inclusion into their communities, into their workplaces, into their towns, and this question kind of gets to the heart of what we want our listeners to take with them after they listen to this episode. So, what does inclusion mean to you?
That is such a great question, and for me, it's about creating an environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to participate fully, regardless of that person's ability, background, or their identity. It's about recognising and celebrating diversity, and it's about actively removing the barriers that prevent individuals from thriving. That's really it for me.
Awesome. I love that. Perfect way to wrap up this episode. A few reminders for those of you listening in. You can shop our merchandise store. We have our Disabled Voices Matter merch. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs. You can 60% of the profits will go back to Special Chronicles, specialchronicles.com/shop. Tap that follow button wherever if you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and so you don't miss a new episode. We've got episodes every Monday right here on specialchronicles.com. So our guest has been Paul White, CEO of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower. Paul, it's been a lot of fun to be able to talk with you for the past hour.
It's been an absolute joy, Daniel. Thank you for giving me the ability to speak and talk about the sunflower. And yeah, I hope everybody now understands what it means and has a better awareness. Peace and love, everyone.
Awesome. So thanks again, Paul, and we'll see you guys all next week right here on the Special Chronicles podcast. Have a great week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smukowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks as always to our business manager, Adam Smukowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smukowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
We're going to stop that. Let's see, it's going to stop the recording.